Yep. Good evening. So last session we created database and API. So we have database ready with MongoDB, and we have API ready with Node and Express. Node and Express. We designed these two. So you tried them. Huh? Those two things you tried, API, databases, and all. Right. So now we will see how we can handle this in the front end. That means how we can manage the front end with React, right? So how we can deal the front end with React. So here in React, in order to communicate with API, earlier what we were doing, React API requests. So we are managing API requests by using fetch. Now, actually, can you tell me in JavaScript based applications, the AJAX requests are managed by which object? Which object manages AJAX requests in JavaScript based applications? Any idea? Which object manages AJAX requests in JavaScript based applications? Any JavaScript based technology finally have to use this object only. Finally, it have to use that object only. Object. JavaScript object which is used for handling AJAX calls in any JavaScript based technology is actually XML HTTP request object. XML HTTP request object. This is a built-in object of JavaScript which is used to manage AJAX calls. Any technology. AJAX call means in the browser it is managed by this object only. jQuery, React, Angular, they are using various methods, but finally browser can understand only one object, that is XML HTTP request object. It is a JavaScript object. This object is going to manage all the requests actually. So directly this XML HTTP request object works actually. Directly that object works. For example, I will show you here React Shopping. Yeah. Directly XML HTTP request object I will show you in any page. Like suppose you see. So in JavaScript we have an object called. Yeah. So we have an object called XML HTTP request. That is the object actually. XML HTTP request. This is the object. This XML HTTP request object, it have a lot of options. That means we are creating where AJAX is equal to new XML HTTP request. Now through AJAX, we can use all these options. AJAX have lot of methods actually. These are all AJAX methods. Response text, URL, send, status text, timeout, upload. These are all related to AJAX methods only. So finally, any JavaScript based technology have to manage AJAX calls by using this object. Browser uses this object, but JavaScript people directly use this object. But directly using this object, lot of issues are there. That is the reason in jQuery we use a library. In Angular, we use a different library. In React, we use a different library, but all finally maps here on. That means if any problem occurred, then it says that XML HTTP request error. Any technology you may be using, finally they have to use this object only. But directly using this object have a lot of issues. That is the reason we are using various other objects. Right, that is actual point. The concept here is, so technically AJAX requests are managed by using this XML HTTP request. Now React can use JavaScript HTTP request methods and promise. So what is that promise? We have fetch. What are the problems in fetch? We can use fetch by using fetch. We already specification. What are the problems in fetch is, fetch issues are nothing but here the issues with fetch is a promise. Problem with this is it returns data in binary form. It returns data in binary format. That is the reason when you used the fetch method in the first promise, you have to convert data into JSON. That means response is in binary. So which is converted into JSON, That is the problem with fetch. Fetch is not going to return the data directly. So that is the problem with fetch, right? And another is it needs explicit XML HTTP request object to monitor the errors. It cannot internally catch the AJAX errors easily. It needs again a HTTP request object which can monitor the errors and report them. That means error handling is also an issue. That means the errors are not clear. It will not clearly show and tell you what the problem is. You can identify that there is a problem, but tracking error is little difficult. You need to use additional XML HTTP request objects. These are some problems. That is the reason I hope I already know that many of you have never used fetch in JavaScript until or unless I told you in React. Am I right? Many of people don't know, who know JavaScript, they never use it. They think that AJAX will happen through jQuery. But generally AJAX happens in JavaScript also, but very rarely anybody have learned AJAX calls in JavaScript, right? Directly using XML HTTP request object and all, very rarely. So that is the reason many people are not aware of the problems in fetch. Many people even don't know about fetch. But as we learned about fetch in our React, we have to know what are the problems here. So then what we can do is we can depend on third parties. We can use various third parties. So React can use various third party libraries to interact with API. It can use various third party libraries to interact with API. Like we can use like jQuery Ajax, we can use like Axios, we can use like what WG fetch like this. We can use various. Depends. What WG is very popular also because Axios is popular. What WG fetch is official. Who you know what WG, right? Who are they? Who are what WG? Don't know. You are very rude. You are using HTML and you don't know who are maintaining HTML. What WG maintains HTML? Who develops HTML? What WG? What WG takes control? It is HTML is under the control of what WG. So whatever means since 2004, because before that HTML was in 1990, HTML was introduced by Tim Berners-Lee. After Tim Berners-Lee, a group called IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force, they maintained HTML for several years. After that, from 2004, this what WG took over HTML. Whatever HTML new things are coming, they are introduced by what WG. That is the official source actually. What WG dot org only. Yeah, this is what WG maintaining and evolving HTML since 2004. This is the group that maintains HTML. And they provide a lot of JavaScript based techniques and everything. If you have time, you can come here, you can read so complete detail about HTML. Means you will get a better help about HTML from the people who built HTML, from the people who are maintaining HTML, and lot of new concepts will be delivered here. You can see, but you may not need all of them. Just you can have a good idea on complete HTML here. So they provide one fetch option for communicating with APIs. So many third parties are, see how to use them. So how we can use and handle, right? Let's see. Now, first important, already we saw fetch. See how's today we will see how we can use jQuery Ajax. jQuery Ajax. So with React, how to use jQuery Ajax library with React. What is advantage of jQuery Ajax when compared to fetch? When compared to fetch, what are the advantages? Advantages are nothing but jQuery Ajax returns data in JSON. It returns data in directly in JSON. It returns data in JSON. So you don't need to convert the data into JSON. Whereas fetch returns data in binary, you have to convert, right? And very important here is better error handling, right? You can say that advanced handling methods, advanced error handling methods. That means it can track the status, what problem occurred, and it can return. So that is advanced error handling. But some issues are there. So it returns data in JSON, advanced error handling. And one more point is handles all requests like get, post, put, delete, right? all this it can manage. All requests it can manage. But some issues are there. What are the issues with jQuery is CORS issues. What is CORS already I explained. jQuery cannot handle these CORS issues client side. That means one problem with cross origin resource sharing. That is one problem. And injection issues will be there. Injection issues will be there. So that means it cannot handle the injections. That means it cannot prevent injections. For that, we need externally some techniques to implement. Injection is nothing but, already we discussed in a cross-site scripting attacks. And the request forgeries, request forgery issues will be there. What is request forgery also in the last session I told you, right, about that. Request forgery means allowing another application to post data into our application. These are all the issues here. These are all the issues with jQuery. jQuery also have issues. So, but how to use them, we will see. One example I will show you how to configure and use jQuery. Let's see how to use this in our project. Now, first, our API is already ready. Our API contains get users and register user. So get users will return all the users available, and register user inserts the new user, right? Let's start the API. So here node API.js. I started the API and it is running on 4000. And you should know what are the API methods available, right? API methods, we have two API methods, right? So API requests, we have two. So one is get, it is HTTP localhost 4000, right? Yeah, it is 4000 port number, right? It is 4000 port number and /get users. And we have post method HTTP localhost. This is register user. These two methods are there. So already you can see localhost 4000/get users. It is returning the data. So it is working fine. This is coming from the database that we locally created. Whatever database we locally created, it is coming from there. Okay. Means just we tested that it is working or not, right? Yeah. Okay. Keep that API started. It is running. Now let's go to our project. In our React project, we have to use jQuery Ajax. Then we have to install. So first point is install jQuery library. jQuery library for React. You have to install jQuery library for React project. So simple npm install jQuery. Save. jQuery is already, if you have Bootstrap, working with Bootstrap already uses jQuery also. If you are using interactions, it uses jQuery also. So we have to install this jQuery. Okay, right. Let's do this. I will open the terminal, and already API is running. We will not disturb. We'll take a new terminal. npm install jQuery and save. Okay. We are installing jQuery here. That's installed successfully. Once jQuery is installed, now we want to use this in our project. So let's create one component here. Let's go to source components, and here a new component called jQuery Ajax demo. Okay. .js. Okay. Let's configure here export default function and jQuery Ajax demo. That is the component. It should return. So just a container here. First, we will put some basic to understand whether communication is working fine or not, like container fluid. Okay. I will keep here as some users. I will just keep here user details. Let me keep just first basic. So here we will make this jQuery Ajax demo in startup. So jQuery Ajax demo is there. It is jQuery Ajax demo. Okay, so let's import here. jQuery Ajax demo from components jQuery Ajax demo. Okay, that's fine. We are importing this jQuery Ajax demo. Oh, I misspelled the spelling. Okay, fine. So this is jQuery Ajax demo. Right, that is fine. Now we want to access this and use it. So let's run this now. npm start. Okay. Now how to use the jQuery library here, how we can interact with jQuery library. Let's do that in the behind. So I am using import. So use state from React and use effect. Okay, this is from React and we need to import jQuery. Have you ever worked with jQuery? jQuery library is how to import a jQuery library. Any idea? When you use jQuery functions in any jQuery library, right? The entire jQuery library is present in an anonymous function. You know it? jQuery library is defined in an anonymous function. You can invoke that. I hope you learned jQuery. You can invoke by using $. Nah? jQuery library is invoked by using $. So import $. From where? jQuery. This imports the complete jQuery library, right? So that imports all the jQuery library. I hope you know already if you have worked with jQuery. This $. Contains the complete jQuery library, because actually anywhere in HTML or anywhere, I will show you here. Suppose if you have to use jQuery library, suppose we are linking source in node modules. Yeah, we have node modules. In that we have jQuery. In that we have dist jQuery.js. Actually, in order to access jQuery and use, we use a $. Function. You know it? Right? This is entire jQuery library is present in an anonymous function. It is present in an anonymous function. And you have to invoke it by using this $. This $. is used for invoking that. So that means the dollar will import the complete jQuery library. All the jQuery methods you can access by the reference of this, right? That is generally done. So here we have to import dollar from jQuery. Okay, now here I will create constant. That means we can define here. So what is it? We will configure state. So here we will define two things. One is users, and we will say set users. So use state. So it is an array, right? We are expecting an array, right? Any type you can configure, you can get any type of data. Now we have another option. We have to fetch all the users using jQuery Ajax. So we have use effect. Use is a callback function, and the dependencies are empty. And here we have to make an Ajax call. Right? We need to make an Ajax call here. Where is it? Export default function. jQuery Ajax demo. In Ajax demo, it is imported correctly only. Any spelling mistake? Huh? It's fine. Now we are adding this. Yep. So now we can go here and make an Ajax call here. What we have to do, use effect. We are using $.Ajax. This is jQuery Ajax method. How we use jQuery Ajax method, I hope you know. First, we have to install jQuery, then import jQuery library into component. How do we import that? Import dollar from jQuery. That is how we have to import. After that, you can access jQuery Ajax methods. How? $.Ajax. Ajax is a method. It will have a lot of Ajax options. Am I right? It will have a lot of Ajax options. You can configure a lot of Ajax options. So what are the Ajax options? Ajax options are nothing but usually Ajax options. It contains method. Method indicates request method. So get or post. What is the request method? And we have URL. This is API URL. It is API URL. And we have success. That means the callback on success. Success is a callback function that executes on success. You have another error. So this is a callback function, right? Callback means function. Callback function on error. That means syntactically how we define $.Ajax. Ajax uses Ajax options. In that we have method. Method is get or post like this. We define URL. URL is API URL. So whatever API URL is there, and we have success. Success is a callback function, and this callback function will return response. This response is response data. Data is JSON. By default, response data is, I hope you know, it can be JSON, it can be HTML. Ajax can be used not only for JSON, it can be JSON or it can be HTML, right? We can use that. And here we will have another error. Error is a callback function. So this will return XML HTTP request object. What this XML HTTP request object will do is it will return. So XML HTTP request object will return so many things like status code, like status text, like headers. Status code means 404, 200, 300, 302. These are status codes. Status text means the text like not found, method, okay. All these are status text. Header means it contains content type. What is the content type returned? Is it text HTML? Is it text CSS? Is it JSON? What type of data returned? What is the request and what is the type of data returned? That is all details. So AJAX you can use in a shorthand way also. So you can use a shorthand way, like you can also use $.ajax get. You can use a shorthand way also, right? There are so many techniques. These are all jQuery techniques actually. So if you are using jQuery, you know already jQuery. In jQuery, we manage the request in this way. So what we are doing here, so temporarily now let's go AJAX and AJAX settings. In that we have method. The method is get, and we have URL. URL is our HTTP localhost/get users. That is the URL. And we have success. Success uses a callback function. This callback function will get the response. Response is directly JSON. That response is directly JSON. Success is a callback function. It will return the response. This response is JSON. That means it will contain all the data, right? So here what I am doing is temporarily I'm using set users, and whatever response comes, we are storing in the array. Now users is an array. We have to fetch that and display here. That users array we want to display. Just users list I want to show as of now, because we are just testing whether that request is working or not, jQuery working or not. So I will put an ordered list. I'll just put an ordered list, and here we will get users dot map, and here we have to use a callback function. We will get every user, right? And we will print a list item, and that list item will print the user. But actually user details contains a lot of things. It's an object, array of objects. So user contains user ID. I hope we have user ID na. That means it have to get the user ID and display. What is it? So users map. So let's check any error here in the console. What we are doing, users is an array. Okay, it is fine. It is coming. It is accessing the data and displaying the data. So we are, and we are displaying that user's information. That's not required. Yeah, that's the user IDs. These are the two users available we are defining. But this time we are using jQuery AJAX. Of course, the error is related to Kina, right? User ID. That is the key we have to configure. That will be fine. So we are accessing the data and displaying the data. Now you have no issues in this, right? So technically we can use fetch, or we can use jQuery Ajax. This is our own API, right? We have our own database, our own API created in Node and Express. We are fetching and using this. Now let's create a registration or login like forms, right? That means how we can use register login like details, how we can manage them. Actually, once you get the user's information, this can be used for login. We can use this for login, right? So technically how we can use that information for login, I will show you. First, this is working fine, data is working fine, but we need to create a registration form. Through registration form, user can register. After registering, user can log in. Now let's see how do we create a registration form, how we can create a registration form. Let's put this example first, right? I will give an example here, and for this example, in order to run this example successfully, you must have API also ready, right? Already API code yesterday I posted, right? The same API, every time you have to just run the API. Make sure that API is running, right? Because if API is not running, you cannot communicate, fetch, right? Make sure that API is running, right? Start your API, right? That we do by using just node api.js. Then we will write this one, right? jQuery Ajax demo.js. In this is all the code. And here I just created a simple method for fetching the data from the API and returning. Let's design the post and get both combinations, like how we can see that, right? Let's see. Now I will create a simple post option. For that, first you should know what data is expected. Let's go to api.js, go to api.js. It is in server folder, right? Now you see here, for registering a user, we need to send all these details. For registering a user, we have to send all these details: user ID, username, password, age, mobile, subscribe. Let's see how we can do. Now for that, we need to design a form. You decide how you want to design. You can use Formic, right? You can use traditional React forms, but traditional React form is always lengthy. You can use Formic component. I already told you component also. Component is more simple, right? You can use any technique. So we will see how to use a simple Formic form, how we can define a Formic form. Already we have a Formic form now. You can see this is a Formic form. What we do, we just use Formic, constant Formic. We use the Formic, right? And here we have to just do one thing. On submit, we have to use Ajax. Rest of all logic is same. That means on submit, we have to collect the values and we have to submit the values to the API. That is only the extra work we have to do. That means here all the form design is same, right? The form design is same. On change, value, what is the name, reference, everything is same. So handle submit, on button click, we have to do this same. Almost all are there, na? Right? I designed the similar type of option. I hope in this we have city also, right? Yeah. So no, city is not there, only user ID, name. Let's create one, right? Right. So let's do here. Now here I will make some changes. Let's create a heading. I will say register user. Register user. I am showing you post method. Then we will put both combination, right? So register user, and in that we have to design a form. We need to create a form. Okay. In the form, we will put some details. So data list, data term. So one is user ID and data definition here. Input type is text. Okay. And let's keep this short. Yeah. Name is equal to user ID. Keep this in this way. Another is user name. So data definition. So input type is equal to text and name is equal to user name. So same this username, password, age, mobile, subscribe. So then another password, data definition, input type is equal to password. Okay, name is equal to, yep, so name is equal to password. Password. Okay. Another age and data definition, input type is equal to number. Input type number I will give and name is equal to age. Another data term, mobile, and input type is equal to text. Okay. And name I will give as mobile. Name is equal to mobile. Okay. Now one more option is there, subscription. Subscription, right? Subscription. So here we will put a checkbox. Input type is equal to checkbox. Okay. And subscription, yes. So here we will define the checkbox. The name is subscribed. Okay. These are the keys we have defined. That means what are the details? So user ID, username, password, age, mobile, and subscribed. These are the details we configured. Now we need to design a form for this, right? Use effects is not required here as of now. Now we need a form. So we will import another library, import use formic from formic. Where is it? Use formic directly from where? Formic. We will import from the formic. Now how to use formic already we learned. Just what we will define, we will create a constant formic. So is equal to use formic. And what are the details? Formic usually contains initial values. Initial values is an object. This contains user ID. It is a string. It contains user name. That is also string. It contains a password. Password is also a string. And it contains age is a number. It contains mobile. Mobile is also a string. And it contains subscribed. Subscribed is a boolean. I'll give as false. These are initial values. Okay. Now how to bind these initial values? To bind these initial values with these elements, what we have to do here, I have to define handle change, right? So here we have to use, so on change. On change is equal to formic dot handle change. That is the option. And value is formic dot values, right? Values dot which value? User ID. That is the value we are binding to that. So value and change, on change. So let me copy this. These two are configured, and here, yeah, username value is username. Handle change is same. And here it is password, handle change. Here it is age, and handle change. And here it is mobile. So we have mobile handle change. And here, so we have subscribed. Actually, subscribed, this is used with not value, it is used with checked. Checked, we have to get the value from subscribe. Subscribe. That is the value we have to bind. With the form, we are binding those values here. Right? That is the combination here, right? That is the value on binding here we define. Now we need a submit button, right? So we will go here. Actually, what are the default values? It will manage accordingly. That means, for example, suppose in the initial value, if subscribed is true, right? If subscribed is true, that means on load, it have to get the checked. It will get selected depending on how you configured, right? Appearance your wish, because for this usually the modern uses class name as form switch, and here we have to use class name as form check input. If I give these classes, then automatically it will display like a switch. Subscribe, we can define that. Okay, we can change this word also. If they switch, it will be turned to no, it will be turned to yes, depending on the requirement. Here, I will put a button, and this button will have the class name BTN and BTN primary and register. Okay. On register, I have to submit the form. That means you have to define on submit. On submit, so formic dot handle submit. On handle submit, we have to collect all the data. Then here we need to define, here we need to configure on submit. On submit, we have to collect all the values. Collect the values. And very important, after collecting the values, first I will put an alert. I will use JSON.stringify and I will collect all the values and verify whether all the values are correctly coming, because you need to check these keys are matching. These keys are matching. That means user ID, username, password, age, mobile, subscribed, and the data type also matching. Right. So here I will enter the details, user ID, some user ID, some username and password and age and mobile. Some mobile I entered, and a subscription yes or no. I click on register. It should get all these details. That means user ID, username, password and age, mobile and subscribed. All these details are collected. Okay. Where to send them? We have to send them into this API method. So what we have to do here is, in the component here, we have to just write an $.ajax method. $ajax. What is the request method? Request method is this time post. So wait, what is the URL to be posted? URL to be posted http://localhost:4000/register user. That is the API URL. What data to post? You have to give data. This data is defined. So when you are posting, when you are fetching, you will have a success function which will fetch the data and get the data. When you are posting, you have just data. What data to be posted? So we have to just define the data to be posted. What data to be posted? Values. That means whatever the values collected from the form, we need to submit those values. We need to submit those values. That's it. Remember, our application is not a complete application with routing. Later we will implement it next level. When we use routing after registered successful, it will automatically navigate to login. Currently we are not doing any navigations because for this we need to implement routing. That means currently we are just verifying post working or not, or we are able to post the data or not. Next step, what we will do after posting register, we will redirect to login. In the login, user can enter the new credentials and login. It will verify from the data. First we will check this. I will put a alert here. On submit, it is doing this. After that we will put an alert, and in the alert I am defining a simple message: registered successfully. This message should come: registered successfully. I am just giving this message. Okay, let's try this and see how the data is submitted or not. We will check this. Now for that, first important, because we haven't written any logic for verifying that user is there or not, that also we will write. We will see. First we will check what users are already there, right? We will request the API localhost 4000/get users. Currently 2 users are there. One user is John NIT, another user is David. That is the user. 2 users are currently available. Now I will enter the third user details here. I am entering third user details: username and password and age and mobile, some mobile 11 something, yeah, and subscription here, yes. I click on register button, so that means it says registered successful. After registered successful, later we will navigate. That is not done yet. For that we need to design navigation. Now once refresh here, the new detail is added. That means it is successfully posted into the database. And all the data types are correct or not, you have to check them once, right? And it is there in the database. That is the reason it is coming here. You can check the database. Where is our database? MongoDB, right? In the MongoDB, so in the MongoDB, let's log in here. Yeah, connect. Our database is React DB. Yeah, this is React DB. In that we have TBL users, and in that the third user details are there. The third user details are there with perfect data type configurations here. So we are successful in reading and inserting. But only the point is we need to create a good interface now. Right now, another, so here we can use both combinations actually. For example, so now tell me how I can handle this interaction. When user is typing user ID, it should tell already taken or not. That is very important. That means when user is typing the user ID, I want to verify whether that user ID is already taken or not. So that should be an alert, right? Then how do we manage that? How to handle that? Because you have to verify from the database, na? Again, we need a API, right? From the database, we need to handle it. So what to do now? Actually, we have to create, already there is users. These users can collect all the users. What I will do is use effect. Here we will use $.ajax, and here we will make a request method. What is the method? Get. So URL, what is the URL? http:// localhost. So it is 4000 slash get users, and we have success callback function will get the response, and we have to use this response. That means set users whatever the response comes, now when user is typing user id, I have to verify. What do you think? Here I will write an event on key up. Am I right? I will use on key up. On key up, we will write a function handle user id. Handle user id. On key up, we will handle user id. Right? So that, or I will just give a reasonable. So verify user id. So we have to call this function. I will call this function here. That means we will configure the function verify user id. Verify user id. So this function will verify whether the user id taken or not while typing. How it will verify? Whether the user id you entered taken or not. First you have to collect the user id typed inside the text box. We will use event argument. So here we will declare. So here we will write a simple logic. Because you have to verify with array, then we will use for var user of what is the collection? Users. Users is a collection. That means we are reading every user from users. Users we already collected on load. Whenever component mounted, we are collecting all the users and storing that inside this state users. Users is an array. We are reading every user from user, and we will write here a condition. If user dot user id, am I right, is matching with e dot target dot value. If it is matching with that e dot target dot value, then we will put a message saying that user id is taken. We will put a message user id is taken. That means here we will declare another constant. So user error, right? And set user error. It is an use state. It is a string. Just it is a string. What we will do here, so we will put set user error as the message. What is the message? User id taken. Am I right? Try another. This message we will display, and we will put a break. Right? Else what should happen? Else set user error. We say user id available. Am I right? We have to display the message user id available. That means if it is matching, then it should say user id is taken, try another. If not, it should display. Where to display this user error? I want to display the user error below this user id. I will put another data definition here. We will put user error. We will get that user error and display that user error. That means whatever the user error we have captured, that user error we are displaying here. This is while typing the username, we are displaying that and showing. When I am typing the user id, so user id, it says available. Suppose I will type some user id which is already taken, some David underscore 2022. So David underscore 2022, it says taken. It is already there. We learned so many validation techniques. If it is taken, I want to put it in red color. If not, I want to put it in green color. If it is taken, I should not allow to register. right? We can disable the button, enable the button. We learned validation. Here we have to use those all validation techniques. Now can you tell me how to change the color red, green? Dynamically, style binding, class bindings we can apply. Already we discussed that, right? If it is true, apply one. If false, another. Those techniques also I told you, right? We can dynamically display that. So this is user ID taken. One simple value changes, it is available, because for every key it should verify it is available. 25 it is available, 22 it is taken. So that is basically how we verify. That means here we are doing both things. We are accessing as well as we are submitting. We can create a login form. Now if you know this technique, login form is very simple. In login form, what we have to do, get the user ID and password, verify the user ID password are matching with the user ID password you entered, right? If it is done, then login success, otherwise invalid. This we can implement with a good interface, right? We can do that. But first we need to understand the basic, how we fetch and how we post. So here everything our own APIs now. Our own database, we have our own APIs we created, and the front end is designed. But what is problem in this jQuery Ajax? jQuery Ajax can do, but some limitations are there, right? Error handling issues will be there, coarse issues will be there. That is the reason what we do is we generally use third party API requests. So I will give this example. This is an example for register and verify user ID. Verify user ID. So this is jQuery Ajax demo.js, and I will copy this. This is the code. In this we created a registration form, right? And we are handling. I hope you can easily create a login form also now. Login form is to verify passwords, right? User ID and password and handle. Let's see, already there is a login screen. Already, if there is a login screen, user login is already there, right? If user login is already there, here when user is entering the user ID and password, right, we have to verify whether user ID is already taken or not, user ID is available or not. Then we can manage, right? I think here we are using cookies and other concept. Let's do one thing. So here how we are verifying the user. So this is username and password. So this is user details. We have to verify these user details with the user details entered in the database. We have to verify with them. That is a simple technique actually. What we do, see, we are collecting two details, user details and password. Username and password are already collected from the list. And on handle login, I will give one logic. Handle login, we have to fetch from the database and verify whether username and password are matching. Then we will show login success. So let's do one thing now. What we have to do, let's import another here. What is that? Import. We have to import dollar, right? Import dollar from jQuery. We have to import from jQuery. So that is enough, right? Once you import this from jQuery, you have to collect all users information. So I will create a constant users, set users. This is use state, and this is an array. On where is it? Here what we will do, here we will just get all the users information. So here I will not write anything cookies related. So what we will use dollar dot Ajax. So Ajax method is get, and Ajax URL is http colon double slash localhost 4000 slash get users, and we have success a callback function. So response, right? And this should set users, what set users, right? Set users whatever response data comes, whatever response comes we will set here, right? Okay, now what we have to do is when login click, where is that login click handle login? When login click, what we have to do, we have to verify, we have to use for where user of what is the collection users. We have to verify if user dot user id, am I right, is matching with user details dot user name. There they will enter the user id actually, right? And double ampersand, this is collected from the form, this is collected from the form and it is stored, right? And here we have to use another, what is it, user dot password. Password is matching with user details dot password. If both are matching, user id and password are matching, then we will put this option set cookie, username will be set, and we will say login success, login success. Otherwise what we will do, so that means here we will put an break, right? So otherwise else what we will do, we will put an alert, we will say invalid login, invalid credentials or something. Later we will design detailedly with a different screen. As of now just I am implementing in a simple existing form, right? Now in the next step we will create a complete design with the help of routing techniques. Then it will be very clean, that you will open home page, you will select existing user, new user. If new user registration form will come, if existing user login form will come. After login you will success, if success cookie created, go to the next page. All this we can implement. So initially this is user login. Let's verify this. I will keep in this startup, what is it, user login. This is the login screen we have, and I am entering the username. So username is David underscore 2022, that is user. I'm entering password, and I click on login, invalid login. That means it is verifying the credentials, invalid login, it is not there. Now suppose David password is actually David at the net 123. That means here I am typing David at the net 123. That means I click on login, so it should say login success, and say okay, login success. After login success, cookie will come, we will store all these, we can manage. This is basically done by using this technique, right? This is invalid login is nothing but already there is a mount option, mount and unmount, some logic is there in this component, that is the issue, right? So login success or invalid, it will display by verifying from the users. This we can create with a combination, one register and login, right? But we are successful in two things now, how to fetch and how to post from our own database. This is a MERN stack example, right? MERN stack example. So MERN stack developers means with the background of MongoDB, Express and Node.js in the front end, React. So now we will see another third party and we will create a good interface. For that we need to learn about a concept called routing. If we can learn routing, then we can implement the complete navigation perfectly. That we will see in the next session. Tomorrow we will discuss about how to handle routing, right? Then Axios I will show with routing, Axios, how it works. Don't miss this concept, because this is the key concept in designing single page applications. SPA, single page application, is with the help of routing, right? That is the major part in our web design, right? That we'll see next session. Tomorrow we'll continue, right?